Ahsoka.
This is the greatest Jedi in the Star Wars universe. Ahsoka Tano, Grey Jedi and former Padawan of Anakin Skywalker, is by far one of the most beloved characters in the entire Star Wars franchise. Despite never appearing in the original trilogy, she's one of the first characters in the franchise to make the leap from animation into live action, and in just over a decade has gone from a supporting player to the star of her very own Disney Plus series. But what is it about Ahsoka that makes her so compelling? In a franchise bursting with ace pilots and master Jedi, what makes this young Togrutan stand out from the crowd and rise to the high ground? The secrets to her success and skill can be broken down into four main sections: her training, her fighting style, her character arc, and finally, her real-world impact. So, strap into your TIE fighter and prepare for hyperspeed as we explore what makes Ahsoka Tano the galaxy's greatest Jedi. First introduced in 2008's Clone Wars series and its accompanying pilot movie, Ahsoka was initially dismissed by fans as an obnoxious child sidekick, but grew into a fan favorite over the course of the show. Here was a lead female character who wasn't simply a diplomat or a tag-along, like Princess Leia and Padme Amidala were often reduced to in the original and prequel trilogies respectively, but an active participant in the conflict, a full-blown Jedi training under Anakin Skywalker himself. She wasn't defined by any romantic relationships, but rather her own personality, actions, and mistakes, and she didn't make the same errors over and over again. Each time she messed up, she learned and grew from that mistake, going from a clumsy kid who would lose her own lightsaber to one of the most capable, skilled, and formidable Jedi in the galaxy. Though she initially trained under Anakin, Ahsoka would also learn from Yoda, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and several other Jedi Masters. While we know that Luke trains under Yoda, Anakin trains under Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan under Qui-Gon Jinn, Ahsoka benefits from a wide array of teachers, each of them bringing different strengths, perspectives, and areas of expertise for a far more rounding training experience. But perhaps her greatest lesson would come not from a single Jedi, but from the failure of the Jedi Council. The greatest teacher failure is, after all. I'm cringing. Towards the end of the Clone Wars 5th season, Ahsoka is framed for a crime she didn't commit and expelled from the Jedi Order. While she, with the help of Anakin and Padme, is ultimately able to clear her name, the initial lack of trust from the Jedi Order serves as a wake-up call for her, and she ultimately decides to leave the Order of her own free will. This starts Ahsoka down the path of becoming a Grey Jedi, a sect of Force users in the Star Wars universe that abide by the heroic ideals of the Jedi without strict adherence to the rigid and often outdated Jedi Code. A version of this same philosophy is also what guides Luke and Rey's new Jedi ideals in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, though the term Grey Jedi is never stated out loud in either film. But it's this decision that allows Ahsoka the freedom to follow her own heart and mind, as well as her own moral compass, without the restrictions of the Council, and she's a stronger Jedi for it. This concept is further reflected in Ahsoka's fighting style. She wields a pair of smaller, white or gray lightsabers, as opposed to the traditional single long blade that comes in blue, red, green, or purple, if you happen to be Samuel L. Jackson. Why was his lightsaber purple? Oh yeah, because you don't question Samuel L. Jackson.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
The dual weapon style combined with her more acrobatic movement makes Ahsoka one of the most difficult combatants to counter, and one of the most engaging lightsaber wielders visually. Whether that be in her showdown with Darth Maul during the Clone Wars Siege of Mandalore arc, or her one-on-one confrontation with her former master Vader in Star Wars Rebels Twilight of the Apprentice two-parter. There are numerous similarities between the Jedi and samurai, and this wasn't by accident. George Lucas was hugely inspired by the work of Akira Kurosawa, with The Hidden Fortress acting as the prime inspiration for the original Star Wars. The samurai, just like Ahsoka, carry two swords and utilize stealth and surprise when launching an attack. During The Mandalorian Season 2, Ahsoka utilizes stealth to ambush Din Djarin, catching the skilled bounty hunter off guard and giving her the upper hand. Stealth is an underutilized element in the realm of the Jedi, and Ahsoka's mastery of it helps to elevate her chances in combat. But we wouldn't be having a galaxy's greatest Jedi conversation if Ahsoka's character was only about wielding two lightsabers and doing some flips. We're invested in Ahsoka not simply because she's a skilled combatant, but because she's a compelling character. She's fun, energetic, and she isn't afraid to inject a little snark when she's opposite stoic Star Wars heroes like her master Anakin or Din Djarin. But she's also incredibly resilient, living through leaving her entire life behind multiple times over, Order 66, the rise and fall of the Empire, and so much more without losing sight of her ideals. Yet she's still shown to be fallible and emotionally vulnerable. There are many moments throughout Clone Wars, Rebels, and even her Mandalorian appearance experience that show the weight of her trauma and how it affects the way she carries herself and her relationships with others, when she's able to have them at all. One of the most memorable of these occurrences comes right at the start of that aforementioned duel with Vader in Twilight of the Apprentice, wherein after he tells her that revenge is not the Jedi way, she simply responds, "I am no Jedi," before lunging at him with pure vengeance and rage. Moments like this help Ahsoka feel like more of a layered, grounded, and authentic character compared to most other Jedi, and this admittance of her own faults is what helps place her above the stuffy, self-important Jedi Order. By acknowledging her own need for self-improvement, she opens herself up to the boundless potential of the Force more so than any other Jedi in the galaxy. Every Jedi has limits, but Ahsoka is the only one who can acknowledge and therefore surpass them. Ahsoka's compelling character journey across multiple shows, books, and movies has impacted far more than the events of a single fictional universe. Her character also brings much welcome diversity and representation to the Star Wars franchise. Despite embodying universal themes of identity, finding yourself, and the eternal struggle of good versus evil, the galaxy far, far away has often struggled with telling those stories about people from varied backgrounds. Ahsoka certainly wasn't the first female lead in Star Wars, nor was her character the first time women were ever important to the franchise. Contrary to what a small, vocal, and at times toxic online fanbase would have you believe, women have been baked into the DNA of Star Wars since the very beginning. George Lucas's ex-wife Marcia is often credited with saving the original film in the edit, and we would be remiss not to bring up the late, great Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia. But while Leia is a fantastic character, and certainly more proactive than most female genre leads of her time, she very rarely got to take charge of the action. As we addressed earlier, she more often acted as a diplomat working in the background or simply tagged along on the adventure. She carries a blaster, but rarely uses it outside of the iconic "somebody has to save our skins" scene. She never pilots a ship, and never wields a lightsaber outside of that one Rise of Skywalker flashback. This problem became even worse in the prequel trilogy, wherein Natalie Portman's Padme Amidala almost exclusively exists to be a love interest to Anakin, with her role as a senator barely being touched upon. But all that changed with Ahsoka. Ahsoka wasn't a politician, she was a Jedi. She piloted starships across the galaxy and got into lightsaber duels of her own frequently. Ahsoka's debut was arguably the first time a female character got to be the full lead in a major piece of Star Wars media, rather than simply a secondary role to the central main hero. She serves as an inspiration to others, especially young girls, an empowering reminder that you don't have to fit into any specific mold to be a hero, or in this case, a Jedi. Ahsoka's journey may have started from humble beginnings, as a baby Togrutan taken from her world, but it's hard to deny how far she's come on that path. Within the context of the Star Wars galaxy, she's gone from a simple Padawan to a full-on Jedi Master, with a unique fighting style and bold philosophy that's allowed her to survive some of the greatest turmoil the galaxy has ever known, and begin to pass her knowledge on to the next generation. And in the real world, Ahsoka has gone from Anakin's sidekick in a spin-off cartoon to one of the most recognizable and beloved characters in one of the largest franchises on the face of the earth. A frequent cosplay fixture, an inspiration for greater inclusivity in geek culture spaces, and the headliner for a major piece of live-action Star Wars media. With her compelling character journey, unique design and personality, visually engaging fighting style, and dedicated fan community, it's easy to see why Ahsoka is the galaxy's greatest Jedi. Now we want to hear from you, young Padawans. What's your favorite Ahsoka moment or appearance? Are you excited for her future in the franchise? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on great videos like this one. And may the Force be with you.